Super Bowl 58 is just a couple short days away, and if you're like me, you absolutely cannot wait for the game the NFL season has been building towards. Yes, we saw this game only a few short years ago, but that was when COVID was nothing more than a mysterious disease from the other side of the world. Think about how much the world has changed in that time, so I'm completely fine with this game. And for this video, I thought we'd go through the preview of that game, who we think will win, and what we think each team needs to do in order to win this game. But before we get into the video, I wanted to quickly ask you to please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. It really helps us out. We release multiple NFL videos a week, so if you're an NFL fan, you'll love this channel, I guarantee it. But with that, let's get back to the video. So this matchup was widely predicted coming into the season. In fact, I picked it as my Super Bowl matchup in the preseason, but throughout the season, there was periods of time where neither of these teams looked like they were going to make the Super Bowl. The 49ers went on a 3-game losing streak, and it made everyone question if Brock Purdy could lead this team to a Super Bowl. Compare that to the Kansas City Chiefs, who started the season hot, but ended with only an 11-6 record, not having home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and making a lot of people question whether this offense was as good as it had been in the past, especially with how good the defense was playing, still only ending with an 11-6 record. But both these teams were able to turn it around, make it to the Super Bowl, and so now the question is, what do these teams need to do to win the Super Bowl, and what's their situation like moving forward? So let's start with what the situation is for these teams, and I'll start with the 49ers. For the San Francisco 49ers, this seems like win now territory. This is a team that has so many stars in so many positions, and they're paying them all. And they're able to do this because Brock Purdy, their quarterback, makes $1 million or less a year. He's literally living with a roommate in San Francisco because he can't afford his own place. Now, I'll be honest, he probably could afford his own place. I've lived in San Francisco, but he couldn't afford a good place. He couldn't afford a really nice place on his own. And he knows that injuries can happen in the NFL. His career could be thrown asunder at any point in time, and he needs to save some money. And so in order to do that, yeah, he needs to live with a roommate. And that also gives his team the ability to pay all these guys so much money because he's not making that much. But that's going to end soon. Brock Purdy obviously is going to be paid when his contract is up in just a few short years. And just think about it. Danny Dimes on one decent season made $160 million for 4 years. Brock Purdy can absolutely make that much money and should make that much money, but the 49ers cannot pay him that much money and keep this team together. So we're going to see this team start to deteriorate in the coming years, and when Purdy gets paid, it will especially deteriorate. And also, their players are getting older. Trent Williams is a bit older. Some of the defenders are getting a bit older, and we're short-term signings like a Hassan Reddick. This team is not going to stay together forever, and so this really feels like win now and the best opportunity for the 49ers to win a Super Bowl with this team. Compare that, on the other hand, to the Kansas City Chiefs, who look like they're just going to stay like this for a long time. We already saw them have to offload guys to pay for Patrick Mahomes. That's when Tyreek Hill left. That's when Orlando Brown left. Yet still, this team is back at the Super Bowl in spite losing both those guys. They've been really good in the draft, grabbing some guys. They've been really good in free agency, improving that defense, making it one of the best in the league. And while the offense looked weak at times, Travis Kelce has picked it up in the playoffs. Rashee Rice is now a major part of this offense. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has figured it out. And all of a sudden, their receivers are solid. They're catching the ball like they weren't doing earlier in this year. And their running game behind Isaiah Pacheco is better than we've seen in a long, long time. This offense is back to what we expected. The defense is great. And yeah, sure, they might lose a guy here or there, but Mahomes ain't going anywhere. As long as Andy Reid ain't retiring, this team's going to be a Super Bowl contender. It just seems like the way of the world. So, with that being said, with the Chiefs looking to build on their dynasty, win their 3rd Super Bowl in the last few years, and the 49ers looking to tie the most Super Bowls of all time with their 6th in franchise history, but first since 1994, what do these teams need to do to win the Super Bowl? And let's start again with the 49ers. What can they do to beat the Chiefs in this game? And I think offensively, it's going to be figuring out a way to cut through this Chiefs defense. This Chiefs defense is very, very good. They held Lamar Jackson in check in the championship game. They held Tua in check in the Super Wild Card round, and the only quarterback that did anything against them was Josh Allen. I mean, even that seemed like a superhero performance just to put up mid-20s points on this Chiefs defense. So what the 49ers need to do is figure out how they're going to beat them. Now, they have the weapons to do it. They have Kittle, they have Deebo Samuel, they have Ayuk, they have McCaffrey. They have everything you could possibly need to beat any defense in this league. And so the question is, can they scheme one of those guys or multiple guys open to have really big games? McCaffrey being the key one. The Chiefs' defense is actually not that good against running backs, but they're able to front run a lot of games, and so they don't need to play that well against running backs. So if the 49ers can get McCaffrey going, can get one of those receivers going, and win that way, that's how they're going to score points. That's how they're going to be able to keep up with Mahomes, who's going to get his. You're not going to stop Mahomes. No one can ever stop Mahomes. It's the same as Brady back in the day. All you can hope to do is hold him in check and beat him by scoring more points than him. And so, how do you beat Mahomes? The straight up answer is you don't. But you can beat this offense. And I think the key to it is to take advantage of the offensive line. They lost Orlando Brown in the offseason. They replaced him with Jawan Taylor, who is literally the most penalized player in the NFL. He has egregious holds, egregious false starts. We all saw it at the start of the season, and NFL refs are eyeing it all year long. So how do you beat them? You get Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead and Chase Young to rush against Jawan Taylor, force him to need to false start, force him to need to hold, and make it so the Chiefs don't have to go 10 yards in 3 plays, but they have to go 15 yards and 20 yards and more in 3 plays. You don't stop Mahomes or any good offense by making them get 10 yards in 3 plays. You stop them by making them get more. That's the way the 49ers can win this game. Get their offense going, get the run game going, put up the points, and hold Mahomes in check by taking advantage of the weakened offensive line of the Chiefs compared to prior years. Now, on to the Chiefs. How do they win this Super Bowl? And the answer is pretty easy. Let Mahomes be Mahomes. That's it. Okay, in all seriousness, we're going to talk about more than just that. But the truth is, if Mahomes has his way with this 49ers defense, the Chiefs are going to win. Just at the end of the day, if he's able to do what he wants, they're going to win. How are the Chiefs going to be able to do that, though? Well, the 49ers have a pretty good defense on paper, but thus far in the postseason, it hasn't looked that strong. They allowed over 30 points to the Detroit Lions and nearly 30 points to the Green Bay Packers. Teams that are good, but I don't think would be considered absolute powerhouses, and most people didn't consider to be Super Bowl candidates, at least this season. So what the Chiefs can do is just do what the Packers and the Lions did, and that's run the ball. Now, I know I said if Mahomes is Mahomes, then they'll win. And it's not to say you're taking Mahomes out of the game, but if you can get Pacheco going, if you can establish the run against this 49ers team and allow Mahomes time in the pocket, if you can force them to load the box and not be able to effectively double cover the Chiefs' top receivers, then all of a sudden you open up Travis Kelce over the middle. You open up Rashee Rice in the flats. You open up Marquez Valdes-Scantling going deep. And all of a sudden, the Chiefs' offense is able to hum along. And it's all predicated on getting the run game going early and often, forcing the 49ers to have to respect it, and then let Mahomes be Mahomes. Now, the Chiefs' defense has been absolutely phenomenal. They held Lamar Jackson to only 10 points in the championship game. That's absurd. But Lamar Jackson is kind of like a one-man offense. Yes, he has Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers and a few other guys, but the offense is basically Lamar and company. Compare that to the 49ers, they have weapons all over the field. We already talked about Kittle, Ayuk, Samuel, McCaffrey. How are you going to beat those guys? And that's really the question. If they're able to hold those guys in check, if they're able to prevent Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers offense from hyper-targeting one of these guys, picking a matchup that they can exploit and exploiting it to death, then they can hold this 49ers offense in check. And at the end of the day, if you do that, Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. He's going to get his, and the Chiefs will win this game if you can hold the 49ers offense at bay. So now the question becomes, who's going to win? At the start of the season, I picked the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, and I haven't wavered on that pick. They had that 3-game losing streak. I said they're going to figure it out. They lost badly to the Ravens towards the end of the season, a Super Bowl favorite Ravens. I said they're going to figure it out. They learned a lot in this game. They can beat the Ravens next time. But after the championship round, I have changed my tune. I am picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. And the reason is because the Chiefs have looked like the Chiefs of old in the playoffs. Mahomes has been Mahomes. The offense has been humming. Travis Kelce seems invigorated. They figured out their wide receiver issues, and their defense looks as dominant as it's ever looked in the history of this Chiefs dynasty in its current iteration. Compare that to the 49ers, who have looked super vulnerable in the playoffs. They barely beat the Packers and the Lions. And I like the Packers and the Lions. I think they're both very good teams. I'm a Lions fan. I love the Lions. But that is not as tough of competition beating those two teams at home as the Chiefs beating the Ravens and the Bills on the road in those same 2 rounds. The Chiefs have been here before. They've won this game. They're a hotter team coming in. And if this team is firing on all cylinders, I just don't see a world where they don't win the Super Bowl. I know this isn't the ending we all want. We don't want to see Mahomes and the Chiefs win again, unless you're a Chiefs fan, in which case, good for you. But the rest of us want to see someone new. We'd love to see the 49ers. I'm certainly rooting for the 49ers, but I have the Chiefs winning this game. Guys, that's it for this video. I will be releasing a recap of Super Bowl 58 early on next week. You don't want to miss that. I'll also be streaming Super Bowl 58 live on Twitch. You can find us at 4th and Goal 101 as well on Twitch. We should have a good community there. For the playoffs, we've had about 50 to 100 people throughout most of the stream, so it's been a great time. I hope to see you all there. But with that, peace!